Boy, it's just too easy to be crapping on this game, ladies and gentlemen. I promise this is the last video that I gotta be making on this game in any capacity. I think the next video I'll ever make is me actually playing it in its final release build when it hits the bargain bin price of 30 or 20 bucks. And look, you know, I wasn't so negative and I wasn't so positive about Fallout 76, but I think today proves the laziness that carries over from the weekend. Now, what you're seeing over here is Fallout 76's update on PlayStation 4. Now, the game itself is about 50 fucking gigabytes, something along the lines there, and the update is 47 gigabytes. Now look, I'm not here to call out somebody on updating their game, but it seems as though the game itself, the actual team at Bethesda doesn't even really know how to patch the game out properly. It seems as though they've been getting rid of pretty much a majority of game files and patching it out that way. Now, we'll cover some things. We got a whole laundry list of shit to cover with this. The people have already reached the end game boss for this. Appears to be the end game boss from Skyrim. Just copy paste it on here. You know, a little dragon flying around, or a scorched beast or something of the sort. And hey, you know what? It was okay to fight in Skyrim, I guess. So I guess it's okay to fight a decade later. Now, in Fallout 76, the patch size immediately shows me, you know, the team really doesn't know what they're working with at this point, because when you're fucking patching the amount of size that the game pretty much is, it shows me that, A, you don't give a shit about the game to begin with. There are two situations that this could have caused, and all of them are bad. Number one, they could have literally replaced every bit of code or asset the game had because it was that broken on release date, okay? It didn't help the fact that the game on disc pretty much came with just a little startup file. You had to pretty much download the whole game day one anyways. So for a little 1.02 patch, you have to pretty much re-download the whole game. Or Bethesda, the actual update was probably like a gig or two, and instead of actually intelligently updating the game, the team's like, fuck it, we'll let you download the game to begin with. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the way you should be handling your release date, okay? Already when the community is shitting on you for releasing an early access title for full price, and then doing shit like this, doesn't really bode well for your game on release date, not helping the fact that the game is already being discounted heavily on CD key sites, Amazon, wherever you go. So I can already assume the launch for this game isn't exactly going as smooth as I would expect, which is a damn shame. I said in my last video I played the beta. I played a bit of the game, it was okay, I didn't mind it, and I said if it was 30 bucks, I'd pick it up, which I probably still will. I wouldn't mind it. Used, of course. But there's even worse situations on the horizon. Now, in the video I made last week, I said that, you know, I really hope fucking Bethesda doesn't use this creation engine shit in their future titles, and man, I was wrong. You know, Todd Howard fucking surprised me. It seems as though Todd Howard will be using this creation engine. The Bethesda staff, hell yeah, they'll be using it for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Now, of course, they said they're going to be updating the game, and you know what? Let me give a quick primer on engines. Every company uses an older engine anyways. It's not rocket science. Call of Duty still uses their Quake engine, but of course they update it every fucking year. You know, they revise the engine so it uses more effects. It runs things better. You know, the games are able to hit their 60 frames at the most for all the consoles, looking at least decent in the process. You know, you've got EA with their many engines like Frostbite, which is constantly updated to support newer things. You've got Rockstar's advanced game engine, which powers Rockstar's fucking table tennis, and Red Dead Redemption 2. You know, both games look miles and generations apart. They constantly update the engine appropriately. You know, you've got these developers updating their engines as time goes on, making new ones out of scratch if they even have to. The thing with this that we're shitting on Bethesda for in this instance is not updating their engine enough at all. Last week I showed you Skyrim footage, and the reason I showed you Skyrim footage was to show you a game a decade apart, pretty much, from Fallout 76, still carrying through the same engine limitations, the same animations, pretty much shot for shot. Todd Howard said, and here's the quote. We'll read it together. For Fallout 76, we have changed a lot. Okay, the game uses a new renderer, a new lighting system, and a new system for landscape generation. For Starfield, even more of it changes. And for Elder Scrolls 6, out there on the horizon, even more, we like our editor. It allows us to create worlds really fast. And modders know it really well. There are some elementary ways we create our games, and that will continue because that lets us be efficient and we think it works best. So you fucking heard it right here from Todd Howard himself. They can shit these games out pretty easily on the spot. You heard that right there. It lets them make worlds really fast. Our map editor is golden and modders love the engine, which a lot of them really don't. It's not hard for them to update this engine appropriately and release modding tools like they've always done. This engine is limited. This engine still to this day doesn't have proper multi-core support, which affects every fucking system involved. PS4, Xbox One, PC. This is an asininely terrible of a system. I don't know if there's still that 4 gig RAM limitation, but that's still there it is an outdated engine that is limiting gameplay even, if you think about it. That whole car thing that I mentioned earlier, it is a limiting engine, and they're still keeping it. Now, look, will I give Todd the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're updating this creation engine? You know what? I will, because I'm not going to be overly cynical. We'll have to see what Starfield looks like. We'll have to see what Elder Scrolls 6 looks like. But look, the past several releases over at Bethesda Softworks have not been fucking enlightening at all, given the fact that their track record shows they much rather stick with what isn't broken in their eyes instead of actually updating with the times. And let me tell you, the longer Bethesda waits to update this fucking engine, the worse it's gonna get. All right. See, every company puts in tons of money to update their engines. Like, look at Ubisoft with Anvil Next. Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks decades apart, and properly so. Those games, they're running on an upgraded version of their engine, obviously, but it's upgraded appropriately. These guys are always on the cutting edge of creating their open worlds, both in gameplay and in visuals. Bethesda, it seems, is content with just using their crazy map editor and shitting out these worlds, as Todd Howard has fucking admitted. And that is a damn shame, because I do enjoy Elder Scrolls games. I do enjoy Fallout titles. It's just when you read this kind of laziness basically spelled out to you in the PR speak that it is, it doesn't bode well at all. User bombing has definitely been a thing. User reviews I would not trust right now, because people who haven't even played the game are reviewing the fuck out of it. But the Metacritic critic reviews who have spent tons of hours playing the game online after its release date haven't been too favorable for it either. And I don't think will be as time goes on. Bethesda has released this game way too fucking early, and these words that Todd Howard has basically said to us about the future of the company doesn't bode well either. I think the biggest comparison you guys will have to really make out of this is looking at how Rage 2 will launch. Rage 2, which comes from the same company, uses id Tech, and we'll be able to see how an open world, obviously RPG elements will be a thing of that game. We'll see how that rolls out on the market. We'll see if id Tech delivers proper visuals, gameplay, and we'll see just how in comparison to Fallout's creation engine it's going to offer. Because I'll be honest with you, if that game turns out to be stunning and plays well, looks well, it's an easy blast to play with your friends, it's going to expose Bethesda even harder within the company for what they really are. Look, I like Todd Howard. I like when he gives me the sweet little eyes in my ear. I enjoy the games that they make, but it's just this stuff, man. It is terribly. It seems like this excuse they've had for decades. It's all come crashing down. And it's just due to the fact that they haven't adapted with the times in this situation. Back in the day, I said you could let Fallout 3, you could let Oblivion, Skyrim get away because, hey, even in that case, these guys were still pumping out their decent games in comparison to the rest. They had, I guess, relatively okay visuals. They had decent gameplay, gameplay that was innovative at the time, sure. But now that they haven't even matched up in the gameplay department to other big RPGs like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Witcher 3, that shows even more kinks in their process. And when those games can look amazing from now to years later and Fallout still looking really iffy, it's going to be an issue. Todd can tell me all the things about new little lighting renders, bullshit in Fallout 76, and new little quaint features. I can see little quaint little things happening, but to me it'll always look like just the same broken Fallout 4 PC release that was day one on that system. To an extent, I mean, Fallout 4 was definitely far better than a lot of other Bethesda games on release date, I'll give it that. But it's just going to expose the system and the company for more than what you would expect in this situation. When you have a lot of these other good games out and Fallout 76 in the middle of them in the state that it is, it's just downright embarrassing. And of course, do I want this game to be good? Yeah, actually I do. I wouldn't mind a multiplayer Fallout, but this is not the way you handle it. You gotta give these games love, Bethesda, and you can't just be churning them out because your level editor is fucking god tier. That being said, this is Muda, the random Indian guy on the internet. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like it if you dislike it. I am out.